the cameras flashed. The crowd froze. And just like that, Hollywood had a new obsession.
Oh, I can completely picture it.
Right. Just picture the scene for a second. The house lights dim down to this, like, soft, expectant glow, and the chatter of the crowd just fades into this electric, heavy silence.
The tension is palpable.
Exactly. And on stage, you've got this world-renowned orchestra, and they finish tuning up, holding their breath, waiting for the maestro to walk out. But the person who steps into the spotlight, the one making their grand debut, isn't some lifelong prodigy of the concert hall. It's a legendary 88-year-old Hollywood actor.
Honestly, it sounds like the opening scene of an Oscar-winning biopic, like the exact kind of role he would normally play.
Right, but this isn't a script. That 88-year-old is Anthony Hopkins. Welcome to Starscope Report. Join Jordan and Jamie as we uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals.
From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're looking at a huge stack of sources today that basically prove Hollywood's most famous cannibal has decided to just entirely upend what the final act of a human life is supposed to look like.
He really is rewriting the rule book.
He is. And the catalyst for all of this is a single, massive YouTube headline that went totally viral recently. It reads, Anthony Hopkins makes a surprising career announcement at 88.
And honestly, the word surprising doesn't even begin to cover the sheer scale of what he's actually doing right now.
Not at all.
Because when you look at the timeline in these industry trades, we are talking about a man who is simultaneously dropping a classical music album, entering the digital creator space, writing this incredibly raw, unfiltered memoir, and like taking on some of the most cognitively demanding acting roles of his entire life.
Yeah, and our mission today is to figure out the mechanics of this. Like, how does someone approach 90 and decide to hit the gas instead of the brakes? We've got music industry press releases, tech updates from the Web3 world, and a deeply revealing BBC interview.
It is a lot of ground to cover.
It is. So let's jump right in with the headline that broke the internet. At 88 years old, Anthony Hopkins is releasing a debut classical music album. It's titled Life is a Dream, and it's dropping August 21st, 2026 via Decca Classics.
What's fascinating here is that Decca Classics isn't just some random vanity label.
I know.
It's literally one of the most prestigious classical music institutions on the planet. And he is collaborating with the Philharmonia Orchestra and the world-renowned conductor Gustavo Dudamel.
Okay, I have to jump in here for a second because whenever I hear, actor making an album, my brain immediately goes to like Bruce Willis playing the harmonica.
Oh, no!
Or Russell Crowe's rock bands. And it's usually just a complete disaster. So why should we take this seriously? Like, Is this just the ultimate vanity project where a famous guy uses his Hollywood leverage to just buy his way into a symphony hall?
I mean, that is a completely fair reaction. We are so conditioned to just roll our eyes at these celebrity crossover projects.
Thanks.
But what you have to understand about Hopkins is that music is not some new hobby he just picked up in retirement. It's actually his foundational artistic language. He has said repeatedly that music was his first desire.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been playing the piano since he was 4 years old.
Wait, so he was playing the piano during the Second World War.
Yes, exactly.
That means his musical foundation predates his entire concept of acting. Like, we're sitting here treating music like his side hustle, but acting was actually the side hustle all along.
That is exactly it.
Yeah.
He is a self-taught composer. He was writing music for local theater productions in Wales long before he ever even stepped in front of a camera.
That is wild.
And if you look at the lead single on this new album, it's a track called Bracken Road. He originally wrote the melody for that in 1963.
1963.
Yeah, it's inspired by his childhood in South Wales, like the landscapes of his family home back in the 1940s. He's literally been carrying these specific melodies around in his head for over 6 decades.
Wow. So it's less like a basketball player suddenly trying baseball and more like a world-famous architect casually revealing they've been secretly painting masterpieces in their basement for 60 years.
That is a perfect analogy. He didn't pivot to music. He just finally decided to let us hear it. And you really see the depth of that commitment when you look at how he treats the instrument itself.
Oh, the piano story.
Yes. In the BBC interview, there is this profoundly moving detail. A few years ago, during those devastating wildfires in Los Angeles, Hopkins' home was right in the path of the destruction.
That was such a scary time.
It was, and he actually lost two of his beloved pianos. They were just completely buried under the rubble and the ash.
Ugh. I mean, for a musician, losing an instrument like that, it's like losing an extension of your own body. It's where your muscle memory lives, you know?
It is entirely devastating. But his response to that loss is really what defines this current era of his life. Rather than letting the fire symbolize like an ending, he made a vow to keep playing. He insists on playing the piano every single day. It has become this daily practice of survival for him, a way of insisting on creation in the face of destruction.
That gives me chills.
Right. And he described working with Dudamel, watching the conductor's baton transform his private little notes into this massive pictorial landscape. He called it the honor of a lifetime.
It's just such a beautiful image. He's immortalizing these melodies he wrote back in 1963 with a physical traditional orchestra, cementing a very tactile legacy.
Absolutely.
But this is where the story takes a massive left turn, because he's also looking at how to immortalize his actual persona in a medium that will outlast physical film. So he's mastering a centuries-old art form. But wait till you hear how he's infiltrating the youngest, most controversial corner of the internet.
The transition here is just giving me whiplash in the best way.
Right. Let's talk about Anthony Hopkins entering Web3.
Yes. The shift from a symphony orchestra in a grand concert hall to the highly unpredictable digital frontier of the metaverse.
It's so random, but so cool.
He partnered with a Web3 entertainment company called Orange Comet to launch a series of digital assets on OpenSea. It's called the Eternal Collection.
And look, before anyone listening assumes this is just like a quick cash grab with some pixelated cartoon apes, let's actually look at how he's using the technology. Because the mechanics here are fascinating.
They really are.
He's 88, navigating a space that's basically populated by 20-something crypto influencers. And he even joked about it. He said, "I'm probably the oldest guy in the NFT community, proves all is possible at any age."
I love that he has a sense of humor about it.
Yeah, but there is a very serious strategy underneath that humor, isn't there?
There absolutely is. I mean, if we connect this to the bigger picture, we see legacy actors constantly losing control of their digital likenesses right now.
Oh, constantly. With all the AI stuff.
Exactly. Studios are using smart contracts and AI to just own an actor's face in perpetuity. But Hopkins is flipping that dynamic. By stepping directly into the Web3 space, he's utilizing those exact same smart contracts to reclaim ownership of his own legacy.
That is so smart.
He and the artistic directors Orange Comet, Dante Ferrarini, they conceptualized this whole digital collection around the Jungian archetypes Hopkins has portrayed throughout his career.
Right, so they categorized his massive filmography into these mythic figures. So you've got the jester, the lover, the rebel, the hero, the ruler, the explorer, the sage, the creator, the giver, and the magician.
Which is just brilliant. He is basically minting the psychological essence of his life's work.
Wow. Yeah.
It demonstrates this astonishing level of neuroplasticity. The traditional Hollywood machinery usually tries to put actors of his age out to pasture, right? Offering them nothing but the, wise, dying grandfather roles.
Oh, 100%. It's so patronizing.
But by going directly to a digital native audience, he bypasses the studio gatekeepers entirely. He completely refuses to be pigeonholed as a legacy actor.
That is such an insightful way to look at it. He's looking at the metaverse not as some gimmick, but as just another canvas to maintain absolute control over his image. And honestly, if you're loving these Hollywood twists so far, make sure you're subscribed to the deep dive, because we've got even crazier stories ahead. Because while he's conquering the future online, his biggest and most difficult battle right now is actually with his past.
Yeah, this is where things get really heavy.
Later in the deep dive, we're going to talk about his upcoming movies, but first, we have to talk about the dark, shocking twist in his history that he's finally putting down on paper. Because this is the area where he's deliberately surrendering control.
You're referring to the literary and documentary projects that are happening simultaneously with the music and the digital art.
Yes. Alongside everything else we just talked about, he is writing a deeply personal autobiography. It's titled We Did Okay, Kid. And at the exact same time, his wife of 20 years, Stella Royave, is directing a documentary all about his life.
And she's got carte blanche, right?
Total carte blanche.
Yeah.
He gave her complete access to his archives. She's interviewing his co-stars like Jodie Foster, and absolutely nothing is off limits.
Giving your spouse carte blanche to investigate the darkest corners of your history, I mean, that requires a profound level of vulnerability.
Especially for him.
Right, especially when you consider the shadows he has historically carried.
Exactly. And this is the piece of the puzzle I really want to pull apart with you. Because think about his most iconic role, Hannibal Lecter in The Silence of the Lambs.
Terrifying.
Real FBI profilers watched that performance and said it was actually terrifyingly realistic. But it wasn't because he was screaming or waving a knife around. It was the absolute unblinking stillness.
Yes, the stillness.
And that kind of bone-chilling darkness, it doesn't just materialize when a director yells action. So what demons is he wrestling with in these new memoirs that kind of explain that?
Well, you really can't separate the darkness of those memoirs from his current artistic explosion. The BBC interview provided some of the most candid admissions he has ever made about his fierce battle with alcoholism in his 30s.
It was really bad, wasn't it?
It was. He was quite literally, in his own words, drinking himself to death. And he was doing it to cope with this deep-seated rage and insecurity that stemmed from being severely bullied as a child. He just wanted to feel normal.
But how does that explosive rage translate to the quiet stillness of a character like Hannibal?
Because when Hopkins was drinking, he was explosive. He was a loud, violent, out-of-control drunk. And he realized that this lack of control wasn't powerful. It was actually pathetic and self-destructive.
Oh, wow.
So when he finally hit rock bottom, he had to force this absolute rigid stillness upon his own mind and body just to survive his own impulses.
He had to lock the monster in a cage.
Exactly. So when it came time to play Hannibal Lecter, he didn't just play a crazy person. He tapped into his own survival mechanism. He played a man who was utilizing terrifying, absolute control to keep the rage hidden just beneath the surface.
That makes so much sense. The stillness is what's scary because you intuitively know what it's holding back.
Yes. It is the physical manifestation of sobriety for a man whose natural state was chaos.
That is incredible. And there's a very specific turning point for that sobriety that he talks about in the book, wasn't there? Back in December of 1975.
Yes, that is the defining moment. In December 1975, he woke up from an alcoholic blackout behind the wheel of his car. He was miles away from where he was supposed to be, and he had absolutely no memory of how he got there.
That is so terrifying.
In that moment of sheer terror, realizing he could have easily killed someone or himself, he experienced a moment of clarity. He said he heard what he described as a little voice warning him that if he didn't stop right then, he was going to die.
Wow.
So he asked for help. And he says the craving left him and it never returned.
It's an incredible survival story. But what I appreciate about these sources is that they make it clear he isn't trying to package this book as some neat, perfect redemption arc.
No, not at all.
He's putting the unresolved pain on the page, too. And as host, we have to look at this impartially and report what's in the text.
We do. And to look at his story impartially, we have to acknowledge the collateral damage of those years. He speaks very openly about his biggest regrets, specifically the immense pain and heartbreak over the estrangement from his daughter, Abigail.
Right. He walked out on her and her mother when she was just a year old. And this was during the darkest depths of his alcoholism.
Correct. And while they have had brief periods of contact over the decades, the estrangement has largely remained. In the interviews surrounding this new documentary and the book, he acknowledges this as a tremendous, lingering source of pain.
It has to be.
He actually pointed to his experience playing the role of King Lear, which, is a play fundamentally about a tragic, broken relationship between a father and his daughters. He pointed to that as a moment that really brought the reality of his own failures home to him.
It really seems like at 88, he's realized he just doesn't have the time or the energy to hide behind PR spin anymore.
No, he's done with that.
This massive wave of output, the music, the NFTs, the memoirs, it's all fueled by this raw, honest reckoning with his mortality. He is putting all his cards on the table, which actually brings us back to his day job.
Yes, the acting.
Because despite all these new ventures, he boldly stated to the press, "Work keeps me alive." He has zero plans to retire. None.
And honestly, why should he? He mentioned he recently had a comprehensive medical checkup, he's in great shape, and he knows he has a few more years of high-level work in him.
Yeah?
But when you look at the slate of projects he is choosing, he is not taking the easy route. He's not just showing up for brief cameos to collect a paycheck.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Let's look at the sheer cognitive load of the roles he's taking on right now. First, he's starring in a movie called The Species, directed by Justin Chadwick, where he's playing Charles Darwin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's shooting this in Northern Ireland, opposite Charlotte Rampling. And it's a heavy, dense film. It deals with grief, the death of a child, and this massive ideological tension between Darwin's developing atheism and his wife's deep religious faith.
I mean, just the emotional weight of that role alone is exhausting.
Right. And then he's doing A Visit to Grandpa's, adapted from Dylan Thomas, filming over at Aurea Film Studios in Wales with Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Another heavy hitter.
And if debating the origins of the universe as Darwin isn't enough, he's also starring in Freud's Last Session, playing Sigmund Freud.
Of course he is.
And he's also doing voice work, playing a mechanical knight named Jimmy in Zack Snyder's Rubber Moon Part 2.
Okay, that one is just fun, but still.
Right. So what does this all mean? Let's analyze the mechanics of this. Why does a man who has won all the Oscars, conquered his personal demons, and amassed all the wealth he could ever need, choose to spend his late 80s memorizing pages and pages of dense dialogue on cold film sets?
He actually gave a very specific, almost clinical answer to that question. He told the press that he loves the process of preparing a role because it keeps his brain neurologically active.
Neurologically active.
Yes. For him, acting is no longer just a profession or an identity. It is quite literally a cognitive defense mechanism.
So it's like neurological medicine for him.
Exactly. I mean, think about what is required to memorize a dense script-debating psychoanalysis as Sigmund Freud. You are forcing your brain to build new neural pathways.
Yeah, the mental gymnastics are insane.
You are analyzing character motivations, you're hitting precise marks on a bustling set, you're reacting in real time to other actors. It demands a level of sustained mental acuity that actively fights off the cognitive decline we typically associate with old age. He says he feels lucky that producers still send him these massive scripts. The work is the cure.
It is the ultimate use it or lose it philosophy taken to the absolute extreme. And, when you step back and look at the sheer breadth of what we've covered today, a man in his late 80s composing for a symphony orchestra, dropping digital assets on the blockchain, confronting his deepest, darkest regrets in a memoir, and headlining intellectually grueling films, it forces you to take a hard look at your own life.
He really does put things in perspective.
For you listening right now, if an 88-year-old man can successfully debut a classical album and master the metaverse, what is the actual excuse for putting off that project you've been dreaming about?
Seriously, we have been culturally conditioned to view aging entirely through a lens of loss. We see it as a period of winding down, of stepping back, of our worlds inevitably getting smaller and quieter.
Yeah, like you're just supposed to fade away.
But everything Anthony Hopkins is doing right now completely dismantles that narrative. It raises a fascinating proposition. What if our later years aren't into decline at all?
What if they're actually an era of ultimate creative liberation?
Oh, I love that.
Think about it. When you're younger, your art is often tied to your ego, right? To paying the rent, to worrying about what the critics will say or how the industry will judge you. But when you reach a certain point, all of that external noise just falls away.
You just stop caring.
Exactly. You finally stop caring about the expectations of the machinery, and you simply create for the pure, unadulterated joy of it.
It's absolute freedom. He is proving that curiosity and the desire to create, they just don't have an expiration date.
That is a phenomenal thought to leave on, because the orchestra is always waiting, and it is never too late to play a new tune.
Beautifully said.
You've been listening to Starscope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining. We'll see you next time.